just wrapping up after a full day of amazing visits, lots of truths uncovered, lots of little snags in what has people stuck. And one thing that's come up a lot, and even come up a lot just with some of my conversations outside of my work, is the misconception and misuse of a lot of practitioners parroting the phrase that your symptoms are the healing, and then their actions or their interventions or their therapeutic approach to helping you is actually in direct opposition to what they just say. So let me explain this a little bit better. So if we're going to go into this simply, I want you to take the phrase, your symptoms are the healing, which in the visit today, she was 100% on board for, and which is a lot of the patients that work with me. 100% on board with the belief that your symptoms are the healing. So many practitioners are saying this, but then we've got a problem. Because if that is true, then let's just take, a symptom list of something experienced in the physical body. So we will use the symptoms, and then we're going to just put it in the phrase, your symptoms are the healing. So symptoms is going to be the word underlined, and the word underlined we're going to replace with some pretty common symptoms. So everything is all good and fine when we say, your fever is the healing. Things start getting a little murky when, say, your symptoms are an infection, low thyroid hormone, low sex hormones. We'll just stick with those for right now because those seem to be the most common. So a practitioner will say your symptoms are the healing, and then we'll change that word symptoms and put in the symptoms. So your low thyroid hormone output is the healing, and then their intervention will be to give you thyroid hormone or a glandular or something to undo the symptom, which means they are undoing the beautiful, perfect way that the body is healing. So this is why we have a big problem, because we have massive conflict. We are using words and phrases, and then we are providing a therapeutic intervention that's in direct opposition to the previously defined truth that we're saying that we're facilitating or that we're operating under, that's our premise. Well, if that is true, then why would your intervention be to stop the healing? If low thyroid hormone is the symptom and the symptom is the healing, then that means low thyroid hormone output is the healing. If you don't understand why the body is choosing that, that's where there's an opportunity to understand more. The intervention needs to be at the level of why the body would need to utilize low thyroid hormone output for the survival and overall well-being of the human body that you are dealing with. And if you are not doing that, you are damaging the human being that you're working with because you do not understand. So we're in a dangerous time of saying things that we don't truly understand and intervening on a level that doesn't match what we're selling. So this is the same thing with the world of infection. I had a patient today, she's actually the one that urged me to come and share this with you because it was such a shift in even her own belief system. When I said that, your symptoms are the healing, do you believe that? She said, yes, 100% with every bit of her. And then she explained symptoms that she had experienced, and part of it was an infection. And so we just did the same thing. Our intervention cannot be then to go and kill the pathogen that you associate with the infection. That is a misinformed action. It is not an appropriate action. You're not taking that action based off of a truth, and you also aren't even fulfilling what you just said when you said symptoms are the healing. So then let's take infection. If symptoms are the healing, then the infection is the healing. So then if your intervention, natural, allopathic, pharmaceutical, energetic, whatever, is to go and kill what you are calling the infection, then the true translation of what you've just done is you have stopped the healing, which is going to create another thing that the body has to compensate for, and you will create a whole new presentation, which for this patient, we'll just do her example because she allowed me to share this. She had an infection of the lungs. She had a fever, and when the physician that she was working with intervened, even though they spoke the same language, the symptoms are the healing. Now I'm going to give you, a pharmaceutical intervention that takes care of the symptoms. Then what she had was low oxygen saturation and everything that came within that presentation, not because that's what she presented with, but because that was the outcome of the intervention. And so you deal with this whenever you think that you understand more than what the body already knows. And our interpretation and our stories that we put on how and why the body heals often separate us even further from moving through whatever presentation or healing expression was manifesting based on the lives that we were living, the things that we were, incorporating into our life, or the inputs that we were managing, or the stress, or whatever time of life you were going in, and whatever combination had that output in your body. We judge it, we call it something, we'll say one thing, we'll do the exact opposite, and we act like we're helping people. And so this is where people, or not just people, everybody, even the practitioners, you've got to see where these things don't match up. If you're saying that the body heals and that the symptoms are the healing, and then your intervention is to stop the symptoms, even if the same thing goes for, if you wouldn't stop a fever, why are you stopping the infection? If you wouldn't stop the fever, then why are you improving thyroid hormone artificially or synthetically, or doing the input to facilitate an output? So this is very different than, somebody who doesn't have a thyroid because medicine chose to intervene and remove a part of the body. So there are nuanced versions of different things, and this of course can't be medical advice, unfortunately, because of the world we live in, but just an opportunity to think clearly. Because if you are confused, right, if your actions are not in alignment with your beliefs, because you don't know what you really believe, or because you're taking actions that are actually in direct opposition to your beliefs, but they're delivered in such a way that you feel like they're in alignment, but they're not, then you're going to start doubting you, not because that's even true, but because you are outsourcing your beliefs, you are borrowing other people's beliefs, you are letting other people's confusion, even though they're delivering it with massive confidence, confuse and separate you from your intuition and your knowing. And it doesn't make sense because it doesn't make sense. And it will match when it matches. If it doesn't match, it doesn't match. If your body didn't improve with the intervention, if something else came at the other end of it, but you temporarily felt better, it's not in your benefit. And it's not the reason why the body was doing what it was doing. The body has to do what it's got to do. And if you try to get yourself out of the discomfort of the healing, you're still going to have to go back and revisit it, but you'll probably have to heal something else on the other side of the fantastic intervention that just alleviated symptoms at the expense of why the body was doing it to begin with. So I hope this makes sense. I urge you to think about this, and then I also urge you to pause anytime that phrase is used, but the intervention doesn't match the truth of the previous phrase. So if your symptoms are the healing and the intervention stops the symptoms, you've got a problem, and that's exactly where we need to start. So thank you to the lovely human that encouraged me to share this, because it is a big problem. And it's something that we really need to change, especially in the world of natural medicine, because we'll go into that later. But the truth is that your body knows exactly what it's doing, and everything that it's doing is for your healing and for your survival, even if medicine experts and practitioners don't understand why and would intervene in a way that disrupts that or tries to prevent that or stop that brilliance.